Hi, I'm Krista West. I'm the owner and designer of Avlea Folk Embroidery, and this is the February floss tube. As you can see, I'm a little late with this one. Normally I try to get them out the first week of the month, but it's been really busy around here, really busy. I'm getting ready to go to the National Needlework Market, which is it's the only cross-stitch specific trade show to the wholesale market in the United States during the year. And that's coming up in just a couple of weeks, but I have to ship all my boxes ahead of time, so it gets a little crazy. I have so much great stuff to share with you today, but before I roll into it, I just want to remind you, if you want to see my stuff, you can go to the Avlea website, which is www.avleaembroidery.com. Avlea means courtyard in Greek. It's actually, the word in Greek is Avlea. And it means the courtyard, the place where the ladies would have sat and stitched, which I really love that image. And so that's why we named it Avlea. And then you can also follow me on Instagram at Krista M. West, as well as clearly you found me on YouTube because here we are. So those are all the places you can find me. Don't try looking for me on Facebook because I always forget to check the account, and Facebook is really visually overwhelming for me. So like most of the time I just forget, and then it's like, oh, whoops, now I got to go check. And then there's like so much stuff in there that it like totally overwhelms me. So Instagram is easier to get in touch if you want to like send me a message or whatever. So, well, the first really big news I have to share with you today, and I am just so over the moon. I just got my copy of Just Cross Stitch magazine yesterday, and look, my Posca basket cover design is in Just Cross Stitch magazine. This is pretty exciting. I stitched the sample, for those of you wondering. Last summer, they came to me. It was really funny, actually. Last summer, I made a submission when they put out a submission call for designers of a little tiny design. And they rejected it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe we're just not a good fit. But then 2 weeks later, they sent me an email saying, oh, we didn't take that because we love your stuff and we want you to do something bigger for us. And I was like, oh, excitement. So I madly stitched this piece in like 3 weeks. It's like 7,000 or 8,000 stitches. I can't remember how many stitches it is. Does it say? It doesn't say. Anyways. So I madly stitched the sample and sent it off to them. And here it is, so many months more later. This is super duper exciting. And they just did a beautiful job. They wrote a fabulous little article on how to put together a Posca basket, an Easter basket. We say Posca in Greek. It means Easter in Greek. And then there's the really cool, the chart. But then they also did, where is it? Hang on, I got to find it. They did a beautiful article on the tradition of Easter basket covers. I mean, it's just beautiful. And clearly very well researched. They just did an awesome job. I couldn't be happier. And especially because I have 2 more designs coming out in their, let's see, I have a really fabulous little design coming out in their, I think it's their June issue. It's, oh my gosh, the cutest little kind of stylized sunflower. So adorable. It's a design that's actually been on my design board for a long time, but I just wasn't sure what size and the repeat and all that kind of stuff. And when they asked for something small, I was like, oh, that one's perfect. So we're going to call that one is going to be BitKit Athenian Sunflower. That's coming out in the June issue. And then it was funny, the design that they first rejected, they actually accepted for the ornament issue in the Christmas ornament issue, which is actually, it releases like in October. So that's really exciting. And they've just been lovely people to deal with. Barbie, the editor there, and Tanya, they're just lovely people. So it's been an incredible opportunity for me to be able to work with them. And I'm really excited about that. So the Easter basket kits are now available at the Avlea website. The one thing I'll tell you is about the linen. Oh my word. Krista's going to go on about the linen again. Oh yeah, I am. So I originally stitched that on Legacy Linen 30 count swan feather, which was all I could get at the time. And those of you who've watched before know that I have a thing for the old Legacy linen, the dour linen. They used to call it dour linen. Much beefier, much better for like long-term usage of these kind of more heirloom items, table runners, cushion covers, Easter basket covers, all of that. And the newer versions of Legacy linen are very beautiful linen, but they're so thin. And it makes me a little bit nervous to offer a kit with that kind of linen because of its thinness, especially something like a Posca basket cover that people are going to want to make and keep as an heirloom. So I'm still working on getting to my European source of linen, but hopefully my first order is coming in about 2 weeks. That's what we're hoping for. One of my friends in Greece is actually helping me out. He owns an Ergo Hero shop in Greece, and he is helping me find a better linen. And I have a little bit of it, so we'll put some kits on the website. And the linen is a little bit, oh, I should have grabbed it. It's just a little beefier, and I like that, again, for something that's going to have more of an heirloom quality. So the pattern in the magazine specifies one linen, and I'm offering another linen at the website. And then if that wasn't confusing enough, I'm also offering the Mickey fabric as well on the website. And that's because it is just an awesome, affordable option. It's a 30 count mercerized cotton, which is it's a cross stitch fabric that you never see anything like it here in the United States, but it's really common in Greece. And it is really easy to see the threads. It machine washes beautifully. It's just a fabulous fabric. And great for an economical option. It just isn't as expensive as linen. So for stitchers on a budget, I always want to make sure that I am honoring the stitchers on a budget. Oh my word. So shall we digress for a moment? Let's digress. So when I was 18, my husband and I got married. We were both 18 and we got married, and he was in school going for his college degree, and I made about $1,000 a month as a secretary. So, and we lived super broke for the next decade while he got through school and his master's degree. So people, all you frugally people out there, you're my tribe. I feel you. And like, that's why I always want to make sure that the kits on Avlea and the patterns and all the things are really reasonably priced. Because living that decade, living so tight financially, just really made a huge impact on me. And it really sort of set me on a very frugal path. And like, I always want to be really honoring of that for people who need a more economical option. So the Mickey is great for that. So, oh gosh, and as long as we're talking about the Mickey, so exciting. I finally got it in an ivory color. I don't know if some of you, probably it's been a number of floss tubes since I've talked about it, but up till now, the 30 count Mickey only comes in a bright white, which is awesome. This is the new BitKit Chloris design on the bright white. So that gives you an idea of what the Mickey looks like. I'm going to hold that really close so you can see that. See that stitch definition? Ooh, fabulous. And then it comes in a darker color called sakari, which means raw sugar in Greek. And that color is almost like a light tan. And people, to be frank, either love it or hate it. And I would say more people hate it, to be perfectly honest. So it's great if you're looking for that really like aged Mediterranean look. It's awesome because it's like this really deep, dark ecru. And it works great with colors like terracotta and blacks and greens and things like that. And it's fantastic. But I wanted something more in between that wasn't like quite the commitment of like this sakari and wasn't so bright white. So I have been pestering my guy in Greece, like, please send me another. There's got to be another option. Well, they just sent it. Oh my word. Well, a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to show you the bolt of fabric. Okay. So this is the Mickey. This is also, it's not a 30 count. It's a 26 count, which is really exciting because it means that any of the designs on the 26 count traditional ground cloth will work up to the same size on this. And what I would say is the traditional ground cloth, oh, it's awesome. It's fabulous. And many of you are starting to really discover how lovely it is to work on and that lovely, unique kind of folky texture. But sometimes you want something that's a little bit more polished. And the Mickey, the 26 count, is that fabric. It's just definitely more polished. In fact, I'll show you. I'm working the new, this is a new octagon border design that I'm working. Oh, hang on. Where's the top corner where you can see most of the design? I'm working this on the 26 count Mickey. I love this stuff. It's easy on the eyes. It still looks really cool. Outlining, of course, looks great. Like any of the Mickey fabrics, the outlining is just really crisp and sharp. And this is it. Like, this is how wrinkly it looks. I just took this out of my Q-snap, but I mean, clearly not all of this fits in my Q-snap. A bunch of it's been sitting wadded up in my lap as I work. And this is as wrinkly as it's gotten in like the 2 weeks that I've been working on this. Like, it's kind of surprising to me. So I'm super excited about that because I'm going to make this into a cushion cover. So I love that I have a new fabric. Oh my gosh, so exciting to have a new fabric in our lineup. And I'm working to do a design, a BitKit design on the 26 count Mickey. And I've got more coming from Greece. Oh my word, my guy in Greece is just like, please send Krista the fabric, because that way we do not have to deal with her gazillion emails. Because people, when I find a new fabric, I'm like a dog after a bone. It's like, get me my fabric now. I must have the fabric now. So they're sending it. I think it's actually in transit right now, which is super exciting. So look for more designs on that Mickey. And if I can just sort of share for a moment about stitch count. Something I've been running into lately in comments and just hearing from different people sending me emails. And it's been very interesting because I came at the cross stitch industry through the Greek folk embroidery door. But many of you are coming to the folk embroidery cross stitch, to Avlea from more of the door where you've like done a lot of sampler work or some of the like American sampler reproduction work and things like that. And it's kind of funny because in the whole sort of like sampler community, there's this, I don't really know what other word to use, but it's this real sort of almost snobbiness about the stitch count. I'm really sorry. Like, please forgive me if that offends anybody. I'm not trying to be offensive, but I feel like I'm kind of standing in the middle, and I've got way experienced stitchers over here who are like 52 count or go home, And then I've got newbies who are like, what stitch count? And I feel like I'm kind of in this middle space. So I just kind of want to share the folk embroidery kind of opinion or sort of outlook on stitch count. Now, there are lots and lots of really fabulous 30 count, 40 count, 48 count, the teeny weeny tiny fabrics that you can stitch on. And cross stitch does look amazing on those. I mean, you get that incredible, just that very distinctive look of stitching something very, very small. And that's fantastic. For people who like that and enjoy that, knock yourselves out. It's fantastic. But that can be those really high stitch counts, like 24 stitches to the inch, 26 stitches to the inch. That can be really intimidating to new stitchers. And so I really like having a lot of fabrics that are more like 13 to 15 stitches to the inch, especially things like the 26 count. I know for a lot of people, a lot of experienced stitchers, that might seem like more of a beginner fabric, but these fabrics are actually considered kind of the standard in Greece for cushion covers, table runners, all that kind of a thing. And I think some of that has to do with the fact that cushion covers and table runners are big items to stitch. I mean, some of the cushion covers designs that I've done, I mean, they're upwards of 30, 40,000 stitches, like in a 20 by 20 inch space. This one that I'm working on is, I think, around 12,000 stitches. And so if you're going to be stitching that much, like, you kind of want a lot to show for it. So I would just say that basically, if you're a new stitcher, like, go with the things like the 26 count. You're going to get a really great finish on those fabrics, and it's going to be really easy for you to pick up the craft. But then I would say the more experienced stitchers, like, maybe you might want to try out some of the 26 count, especially on those days when you've got a little eye strain going on, or you want to try something different. So I just think it's kind of interesting. I never really thought I'd be sort of entering that conversation about stitch count, but I kind of am, because the fabrics that I import from Greece are really quite different than a lot of what's available in the United States. So moving along from that little opinion piece, I have a bunch of new stuff coming down the pike. Oh, I think again, I forgot to grab the Venetian coins. Okay, rats. Venetian coins is getting ready to release too. And for the life of me, oh, I know. I have the sample packed for Nashville. Of course I do. So anyways, that's why I don't have it with me right now. But this I want to show you. Very excited about this. This is the Latvian Berries table runner. This is a Pomegranate Collection pattern. For those of you who are not familiar with that, the Pomegranate Collection are designs that I either don't have time in my schedule to stitch, or just so big that I can't stitch them to get a stitch sample, to take a photo of, to have the pattern, to release the kit. So for those designs, when I really, really like the design, and this was one of them, I just love this design with these little berries. Oh, so fab. I particularly love this whole like way of like filling the center space, the negative space in the center. Fabulous. I'll definitely be like using that again in other designs. But I take those designs and I put them on the website as $5 download patterns so that everybody can at least just see, okay, this is like other stuff that Krista's got going on, but we just don't have the stitch sample. Anybody who stitches it and sends it in to be photographed, actually, I finish it for you too, so there's a real plus because I do all the drawn thread hemming work on it. Then I photograph it. I have it for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I send it back to you, and you get a $50 credit at the Avlea website. So it's kind of a win-win. The Pomegranate Collection sort of system is helping me release so many more designs. In the last 3 months, we've released 3 or 4 designs that were graduates out of the Pomegranate Collection, and they were things that I loved, but I just didn't have time to stitch myself. So Latvian Berries Table Runner is one of them. Love this little gal. Oh, so cute. And you could totally change the colors out if you wanted. You could make it more like blueberries. You could go with the blue theme and go like just change out the blue because it's just one color. Isn't that cool? It looks like it's more sophisticated than it is. This is just a really simple little design, but it just looks so great when it's all put together. And this is on the traditional ground cloth. And I'm trying to remember the floss color. I think it's the 816, the bright garnet. Not the 815 is the darker one. I think this is the brighter one. Yes, I'm pretty certain that. And the 3012 soft green and the 469 avocado green. So really simple colorway, awesome finish. And Rachel Marks stitched this. I was trying to think who stitched it. She just did a gorgeous job. So pretty. Her back even looks really awesome. Like, look at that back. It's amazing. So great job, Rachel. So that one's going to be coming out shortly. Sign up for the emails if you want to know like when things are releasing. Then I just showed you this, but I'll show it again. This is the new little BitKit Chloris. Chloris in Greek means a small green thing. A small green like growing thing. And I just love this design because it was like little green flowers. I love this one. I stitched this one and I love these repetitive designs. You guys know how I feel about all over designs. I just love them. I never get tired of them. They're fabulous. And I really wanted to do another BitKit that was on the Mickey fabric so that people got the experience of that. Because boy, the stitch definition, if you can see that, the stitch definition for the drawn thread hem, so fab, so fab. And this colors on this is the 930 Antique Blue Very Dark, and then it's like the 502 Blue Green. I can't remember if it's the 502 or the 503, but it's one of those. Great colorway. And I felt like, too, it was kind of nice to work on something that wasn't in my sort of typical ivory, more warmish Mediterranean colorway. This one was like so crisp and blue and white. And I love that like blue and white look, too. I like both the looks. I like all the colors. So there you go. So that one's coming out really soon. Then this one I just have to show with my prop because I found such a great prop. I wanted to show it. Calliope's Meadow is coming out in April. I think this is my April release. Wow. Finally nailed the colors. I think I probably told you guys about this in another floss tube. It took me no less than 4 samples and 3 months and a $1,500 DMC order to nail these colors because that's the issue with ordering DMC. Every time I order cones of floss for the kits, the minimum order is $1,500. It's a big chunk of change. So I can't just order new colors willy-nilly. But this one, I just kept playing with and playing with. And if any of you are familiar with the May, it's not the May Morris embroidery that's in the Victorian Albert Museum, but it's one very much like that. It's a bed curtain helmet, like a valance that it was in my Christmas email, my little like Merry Christmas email back in December. I had a picture of it from one of my reference books and shared it. The curtain itself is really like way over the top and absolutely stunningly gorgeous. But at the very tippy top of the curtain is this little border. This one right here, just the little border with the little serrated carnations and the little flower stalks. And I was so taken with it. I was like, what could you do and how could you play with a design like that just using that tiny border? And so I used it to create this. So the design is just confronted, like basically confronted means facing, on this side without the big flowers, and then down the middle, it's the same thing. So what am I trying to say? Basically, I'm just trying to say that if you when you stitch it, it's super easy because it's the same pattern, whether it's out here, the little flower stalks, or down here. And I was so happy with this one. It's awesome. And it would be really easy to make a longer table runner if you wanted it. I also played around with doing a much wider hem allowance on this one, and I felt like it really worked with the design. So I'll be doing that on more of my kits as I feel like the design warrants it, because I just have a thing for deep hem borders. Like, I love the deep, like 4-inch hems on like Christian Dior dresses of the 1950s. Oh yes, please. And I love like a 4-inch doubled hem on lined drapes. Like oh my gosh. Or sometimes you see those silk drapes that have the 8-inch doubled hem. Whew. And at this point, you're probably thinking, wow, Kristen spends a lot of time thinking about hems. Why, yes, I do. But I just love that like deep hem look. And I decided to like incorporate that in. So this is Calliope's Meadow. This is also going to release in April with the BitKit Chloris. I think I'm going to do a double header that month because I just can't, hang on to all this stuff forever. But what was so cool is I was getting ready to photograph it, and I was looking around and I didn't have any props. So I ran over to my little local salvage place that I go to when I need props and checked out this old allspice can. I found it. I'm like, seriously? Can you believe it? The color matching is just simply incredible. So we took the photos. Oh, I have to tell you about the photos. Anyways, and I was just so happy with it. It just like looks so cool. And I don't know, maybe I'll put this on my desk as like a pen holder or something. It was really fun. It's actually one of the things I really love about Avlea and like learning to do the photography myself is that I get to pick all the fun staging props. And for years, like I'm kind of a thrift store hound, definitely part of my frugalista background. And I love just, there's a couple places in town that I'm always checking for, but like really how much of that stuff can you keep in your house, So here's what we do. Here's what I do. I go around and hit my little spots, Goodwill, the salvage place. There's an awesome Junior League thrift store here in Salem. So great. The ladies there are lovely. They know me well now. And so I go around and I find the different staging props, and we use them for like a photo, maybe a couple of photos, couple different designs. And then when we've used them and I don't think I can use them for any more designs, we box them up and we give them back to the Junior League Assistants thrift store here in Salem, and they go and resell them, and the proceeds go to help outfit kids in Salem with coats and winter weather gear if they don't have it, which is like so great. So I always feel really good about our staging props. So our staging props, like, have a little life with Avlea, then they go on and get sold to like help put little kids in coats that wouldn't otherwise have winter coats. So kind of exciting there. Now, wow, so much. Oh, I know one more thing I'll share with you that's really cool. So Celeste has joined us as a new sample stitcher. So exciting. So great. Because like the more sample stitchers we've got, the more designs we can keep releasing and really just keep this whole tradition of folk embroidery just chugging along. So I designed little churches a while ago. It was about maybe a year and a half ago. And I only at that point in time, I wasn't sure how popular it would be. So I just had my sample stitcher stitch a corner of it and I took a close-up photo. How far we have come, people. Now I know that just does not cut the mustard. So Celeste was like, oh, hey, I love that design and I want to stitch it like the sample. And I'm like, oh, awesome. We need a sample of that. Like we really need to change out the cover because it's one of those designs that it is hard to visualize from just the corner of it. So here is what it looks like. And actually later today, I'm going to be finishing this into a cushion cover. And what this is this is a little border of little churches. It's 3 traditional borders, okay, that I just combined with a similar color palette to create sort of a bohemian cushion cover idea. You could also do this as a table square. You could finish it as a table square and put like a vase in the middle. That'd be actually really cool. But I kind of envisioned it more as a cushion cover. And I just love the colorway. It's really like this soft green colorway with some of the 598 turquoise in the outer border and in the little churches. So these little churches are basically, you see these, they come up in, see it's a little church and a cypress leaf. And those come up, that little church motif comes up in a lot of folk embroidery. Well, maybe not a lot, but you definitely see it. And you're like, oh, it's one of the little churches. So I just thought that was really cool. And I wanted to combine like the more sort of figural border with something very, very geometric and then something a little bit more lacy. And I was really happy with it. So I'm really excited to get this one photographed. Now, speaking of photographs, wow, I had the best thing happen this week. So when I first started Avlea, my young friend Destiny, who's a professional photographer, helped me with the photos because people at that point, I did not even own a camera. I have never been a person to take photos. I just sort of hope other people take photos because literally I have like almost no photos of my kids. It's kind of shameful, but there we are. I've always been really, really intimidated by photography. And so I didn't even own a camera. And Destiny took the first round of photos of like our first 8 designs, maybe 8, 10 first designs. And I would ship the designs to her in New York and she'd stage and take photos and then she'd send them back to me. But inevitably, she doesn't stitch. She's an amazing photographer, but she doesn't stitch. So she wasn't always certain what she was looking for in the photo. And that's when I realized, okay, I just have got to like figure this out. So Destiny helped walk me through getting a camera and learning just the first basics and that sort of thing. And I've done a lot of teaching myself and all of that. And it was really this point where I realized, okay, I can get super hung up in the fact that I'm kind of crappy at photography and I can just wait however long it takes for me to get perfect at photography. Or I can just sort of say, you know what? It's good enough. It's getting it out there. And like, let's just go with it. And let's let this be a work in progress. And that's what I chose to do. And I knew that like a lot of my early photographs weren't that great. The color definition is off. It took me a while to figure out like how to stage properly and things like that. But by getting those out there, it has meant that like, okay, all of these embroidery patterns got out there because I was just taking photos and it was like, okay, whatever. So like, for example, if you look at Pella Poli, that's a great photo. The light on that day was fantastic and I got a great photo. It's very true to the colors. But like, if you look at the Kefalonia Carnations photo, it's a little bit pink. It's a little bit pink because the day was really sunny that day. And I didn't know how to adjust for that. And so it's been the photography has been an ongoing struggle for me. But I feel like it's such an important struggle because first off, it keeps me in a beginner mind, which is really helpful for me. It's really good for me as an embroidery designer to basically suck at something. Okay, so I suck at skiing, although I've been doing it for a decade, and I suck at photography. And I'm just being brutally honest here. It's really important for me to do things in my life that I am actually not good at and that do not play to my strengths because it helps me remember that frustration and the intimidation factor that many people face when they start doing embroidery. And so actually that's like one of the main reasons I ski is so that I go down every hill and think, okay, this is really hard for me. And you know, maybe learning cross stitch or learning embroidery is really hard for somebody else. So it gives me that sense of camaraderie and understanding and empathy with people who are beginning in the textile crafts. Plus, it's probably just really good for my character development so I don't get too big for my boots. But the photography is something that it just has taken me a very long time to learn. But what happened this last week, Destiny has a friend, Alexis. Alexis actually was a product photographer for like the Food Network people, like big time product photographer. And Alexis her husband moved for his job and she's now in, I think the DC area, and she's doing wedding and portrait photography. And she is helping me. Oh my word, it's so exciting. So we're doing Zoom calls and she's helping me understand like the extra equipment I needed. Like I didn't realize I needed a white balance filtery thing. That makes a huge difference. And so we're really working on getting the photos on Avlea to be more consistent. She's helping me set up a little photo studio, a permanent little photo studio in the workshop so that I get really consistent, like a consistent image of every design. And then we'll do the stage shots around the house. So watch for the photos, like getting better, hopefully. I mean, again, it's a learning curve for me, and I'm always so grateful when people like send me really nice messages about how pretty the photos are because it's like, oh my gosh, if you knew the struggle that went into those photos, oh my word. So I'm really excited about bringing that next level of visual communication to Avlea. So very, very exciting. And then the last thing I just get to share with you, which is pretty exciting. You've like hung on to the very bitter end with Krista. So here you get to know I'm going to Greece. Oh, I'm so excited. I just booked my tickets and I'm going to get to go spend 2 weeks in Greece in next September. And I have got so much fun embroidery stuff already in the works. So if any of you follow Cross Stitch Therapy George on Instagram, he's awesome. If you don't, like, go see his stuff. He's fairly new to Instagram, but he is an older Greek gentleman, and he and his wife took up cross stitch to have a hobby to do together, and they're really, really good. His stuff is amazing. And George and I are going to get together and have coffee in Athens and like talk cross stitching. And then I just got an email this morning. One of my friends in Thessaloniki is helping connect me to one of the shops in Thessaloniki where I'm really hoping, cross my fingers, but I'm really hoping I might be able to learn lacé work. Lacé work is like needle lace. Lacé just means lace in Greek. But it's combined with this super cool kind of cross stitch with beads on this very specific background fabric. And then we add needle lace. I mean, it's like all the things. It's like glitzy and blingy, but like in the very best way. Very cool. Looks almost kind of like very Venetian, Italian, Renaissance-y. Very cool. I'm really hoping to learn that technique while I'm there. And then the Peloponnesian Folklore Museum in Naflion, it's about an hour and a half from Athens, is actually working with me so that I can see their private, so I can see some of their embroideries that are not on display. Yes, please. So very excited about the Avlea Greek embroidery tour. And I'll be doing a lot of fun stuff with that. I'm thinking that we'll probably do like we'll do reels, or maybe we'll do a little YouTube every morning or something and talk about what I'm doing in Greece. So you definitely and I'll put the dates out and stuff like that so you can mark your calendars. But it's going to be the end of September, last week of September, first week of October that I'll be there. It's my favorite time of the year to be in Greece. I'm already dreaming of souvlaki. Yes, please. And then, so I'll be in Athens and Thessaloniki, Naflion, and different places all over so that I can start laying the groundwork for future trips after this. My eventual goal is that I'll be able to start traveling around Greece to some of the smaller villages and really photo documenting folk embroidery, both costume embroidery and prika, like household embroidery, cushion covers, things like that, bed curtains, things like that. So very, very exciting. And I'm just so excited to be bringing back like so much inspiration. I think I'm probably going to get so creatively inspired, my head might explode, but it'll be pretty exciting too. So that's another floss tube here at Avlea. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your nice comments. And for those of you who have joined the courtyard, I will give a little plug to that. There's like, you just go and like put in your email, I think, and then you're just in. That's one last thing I do want to mention. Oh my word. It warms my heart every day when I open up I get little, like, as the coordinator, I get the little emails like, so many people said this on the courtyard kind of a thing. And I love that I am seeing, oh my gosh, you people, sorry. I'm like literally almost going to cry. Okay. But I'm like not going to cry. The older experienced stitchers are totally like giving encouragement and advice to the newer, younger stitchers. There are a couple people that in the last couple of weeks have just posted their very first ever embroidery project on the courtyard. So exciting. And then the really experienced stitchers are coming alongside and being like, that looks amazing. You did great. Terrific. It's just fantastic. It's just what I dreamed of, that stitchers would all come together no matter what their stitch level, what their experience level, and just share the joy of embroidery, the color, the designs, our connection to history, all of these things. And it's happening now live at the courtyard. So that's the courtyard at the Avlea website. So you can access it either on the app. If you get the app, you just put in Avlea Folk Embroidery wherever you get apps, and then boom, you've got the app. Or you can go to the website, and then it'll just say right across the top, it says the courtyard. So check out what people are doing over there. Somebody just posted the Lexine pomegranate pattern she just started. Wowza. That one is actually really awesome. I looked at it and was like, oh boy, I think I'm gonna have to put that on my stitching list, my ever lengthening stitching list. So I think that's it. Thank you again for joining me. It's a pleasure to share stitching with you, and happy stitching. Have a great month, everybody.